Hi guys, I'm Silvio. Welcome to my channel and this brand new tutorial. I have never been so absent from my channel during the past 5 years. More than 5 months since my last post. But after the longest, most stressful and controversial season of all time, I had two. Not so much due to the rightful comments I received on my video during the regular season, but mainly due to the enormous, gigantic amount of really poisoned emails I received. But guess what? I'm a grown man, I'm an old man, and finally I could afford all of that. I simply needed to take some absence from the channel and try to find myself once again, refocus, and also try to find new stimuli. But this is not the regular season. This is a brand new tutorial focused on styrofoam, more precisely on styrofoam panels or boards. Why this? Because during the past 5 years I've always made some improvements, some adjustments to my techniques, and the tutorials may have come more and more difficult. Now I decided to go back to the source and try to make a very easy tutorial on a scale from 0 to 10. Let's say it is 0.5 to 1. But we are not all experienced villagers, village builders, Christmas village builders. Every day new villagers join this fantastic community, and they are not experienced. Maybe they don't know what to do. They don't know how to improve their villages, their Christmas villages, including some levels, some hills, some mountains. Here come the very useful styrofoam panels or boards, and how to districate yourself in these savage wars of styrofoam panels. Which type of styrofoam panel is best suited for you, for what you want to achieve: hills, levels, platforms, mountains, or simply buildings, stairs, why not streets, and everything else. I hope that these simple tutorials will help you new villagers, and maybe it will be entertaining also for the most experienced and talented villagers out there, and you are many. Bye guys, let's get to work. Well guys, welcome to a new mini or short tutorial, and this is still the 2025 off season for me. But don't worry, you have to wait just a little more than a month and a half before the kickoff of the new season, when, as my family tradition dictate, I will start my 2025 Christmas village. So obviously at the same time my 2025 Christmas village full tutorial series will start at the same time. During the years, and I started all in with this channel in 2020, in July 2020, I've posted 5 seasons of full tutorials and many more short tutorials. But I realized that maybe I went with each new tutorial a little more complicated each time. And this is not fair, guys, because it's not like everyone started in 2020 and progressed as I try to progress with each season. Each season, or each day, or each hour, somewhere in the world, someone decide to join a new fantastic adventure in the Christmas villaging realm. So maybe it is time for a back to the source mini tutorial. Sorry for not having thought about that previously. Okay, my bad. There are many type of Christmas village builders out there. Newbies, talented, expert ones. Someone may have started some months ago, some years ago, but anyway, sooner or later, better if sooner, every Christmas village builder or villager, as I call them, realize that building a flatland, a flat Christmas village is not that good. And when you realize that, you are really into Christmas villaging. I know that the majority of the stores, of the physical store or online store, display Christmas buildings, figurines, props, like they were on a table on a flatland. But no, guys, this is wrong, because in reality, cities, small cities are not flat. Yes, maybe in the desert, but a Christmas village in the desert, maybe not the ideal solution. So having a village with different levels, with different aids, is the ideal solution. And when you realize that, you start thinking, what can I use as support for elevating my second level from the first level? Maybe I can use some pieces of wood, maybe some carton box, maybe some fluff tissue, or maybe some foam, some styrofoam, a foam made from styrene. Very complicated terms, I know, but you may have seen online, even if you have just started with Christmas villaging, that the most common choice made by villagers is to use styrofoam, foam, pieces of foam recycled maybe from kitchen appliance packaging. You pick up your appliance from the packaging and there is inside styrofoam, foam, and you start with that. Or maybe I don't know, a sink packaging, a TV set packaging. All those appliances are packaged in a bigger package that has foam inside to protect the TV set, the appliance, from being damaged during the transport. And this is where maybe this tutorial come to be useful. It's not the right solution to recycle only that styrofoam from those packaging, because they have strange form, maybe not suited to make maybe a hill, maybe a second level, maybe they have big holes in the middle, and these disrupt very, very heavily the harmony of your Christmas village. So this is why after a certain time you take to adjust to the new fact that you must level with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels, maybe more, maybe less, up to you to judge, that you need to buy yourself some styrofoam. Generally, the styrofoam is made of two main type of foam, of plastic foam derived from oil, from oil, obviously, plastic, but soft plastic. This is called, they are called expanded styrofoam and extruded styrofoam. Don't worry, I will explain. This is just an introduction, sorry. So where can I find those styrofoam boards? Good question. Surely not any in marketplace, and I will come to that after something more interesting, at least for me. The aspect that can have some styrofoam is multiple. Here I have some samples. This is a piece of big, very long foam board, not too thick. They can come in different color: white, yellow, green, blue, pink. It doesn't matter. More precisely, those two on my right are extruded pieces of styrofoam. This is a piece of expanded styrofoam. And maybe if getting a little more closer, let me try, you will see maybe the difference in the material, okay? In the material, they are not made in the same way. Okay, let's go once again up, 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 a little more, a little more, a little more. Let's say like this, okay? In between what I have before and what I have now as a focal point. Expanded and extruded, yes, but physically easily understandable. What is an expansion? What is an extrusion? Okay, very simple example of expansion. A balloon, a plastic balloon that inflated will expand. Normal state of the balloon, a little more expanded balloon, and so on. There can be different level of expansion. Okay, so normal state, a little expanded, more expanded. When you blow into the balloon, you expand the balloon. Yes, yes. This is very simple, but This industrial process is equivalent with styrofoam, with plastic foam derived from styrene. Okay, I repeat the terms, I repeat words, then each time you will understand more and more what I'm talking about. So this is an expansion, clearly, more simple than I cannot explain. So what is an extrusion on the other way? A balloon tends to roll over. A simple example of extrusion. A tube of acrylic paint. There is a lot of acrylic paint inside the tube. When I press the tube, I open the tube and I press the tube, I get an extrusion. It's not like having all the amount coming out at once, but as the whole of the tube is has a shorter, a lower diameter, okay, the acrylic paint is forced into getting a particular shape. This is not a very solid, the paint is not very solid, otherwise you will get some sort of long tube of material. This is an extrusion. I push something having a big mass toward a very little hole, I get this extrusion. Same principle of, you know, everywhere in the world, of Italian pasta. It is made the same way. Big amount of pasta pushed through some holes. You get spaghettis, you get macaronis, you get every time. I know, I shouldn't have done a pasta example. Yes, I'm Italian, but I'm also half French. So sorry for my half French side of the family. And this has been the principle of making these two pieces, the extrusion, but here the hole wasn't round, wasn't cylindrical, but it was shaped like a rectangle, okay? Two rectangles, it's like having these as the shape of the two tube. I will come and we come to the same terms in some many ways. The normal state of the styrofoam is nothing more than some pearls of styrene. Okay, hope you can see it. Yes, I hope so. Let me check the camera. Yes, maybe a little closer, but okay. Styrene. So those white mini pearls are the starting point where oil, through some chemical process that we are not here to discuss, I could, but I don't want to make this tutorial too tedious. Oil is transformed into some plastic, and I remember you that every single piece of plastic, of not green plastic, is derived from oil. Nowadays you can make also plastics from corn, etc., from polylactic acid, etc., but generally it is made from oil. So you transform to some chemical addition the oil into some plastics, then crush them and make some little pearls having different dimensions, different diameters. Then this amount of mini pearls of styrofoam is transformed into some expanded and extruded styrofoam. If I take a piece of these extruded styrofoam and these expanded styrofoam, and I cut very thin slice of styrofoam and place them under an electronic microscope, I will obtain these two structures, these two images. Okay, so XPS stands for extruded polystyrene. EPS stands for expanded polystyrene. Expanded, extruded, very similar, both starting with X, so you need to make a difference. So for the first time, so extruded polystyrene foam, expanded polystyrene foam. Okay, and the structure is like having some very mini pearls. So tons of mini pearls attached one to the other. How this is made? I take those pearls, I use a little of steam and a high temperature to melt those pearls. Melting those pearls mean like having a semi-liquid, a fluid material like the paint containing in this tube. High temperature, plastics tend to soften and tend towards a liquid state. It can never achieve the liquid state, but a fluid, something that can be pushed like a jelly into a tube. And then I place in front of the container a piece of metal that has this same shape here. So pushing, I obtain at the exit of the hole a board that is flat like the shape, and that it is immediately pushed towards a 0 degrees state. So I blow against this shaped but still hot material, very cold air, and the result is a flat board with this structure, so very dense, and each pearl attached one to the other, making a solid structure like in this case. Okay, but still not that heavy as steel, as iron. Okay, the other case, the expanded polystyrene boards are obtained starting from the same starting point, mini pearls, but instead of pushing, I only get into them some very high temperature steam. I blow a good amount of steam. What does this mean? That blowing into them, they melt a little, because steam is at high temperature, they start melting, but also some steam can get inside. If I blow with a straw some air into this, I will make bubbles, because air can penetrate some fluid state material. So if I blow, I will make a mess, but the volume will increase, they will inflate, okay? And when the temperature starts to cool down once again, the steam, so the air I blowed into the hot and fluid material, will tend to be trapped inside those pearls that have expanded in volume. So, like the air, it is trapped inside. The same thing with the pearl that are expanded. But look at these parts here. You have a similar structure here because those are pearls inflated, so expanded. But this part here that is whiter, that is white, is like having some emptiness inside. It's like having some different shapes of pearls that are just connected a little between them with some little portion of them, but getting them connected, they are not perfect balloon, perfect balls, rounded balls, but can have different shapes, and there are many of them getting some empty space inside. So what this means, that instead of being heavy, densely populated, there is population, yes, the inside is populated, but also empty. Like having material and emptiness, material and nothing between them. Okay, this is the difference between. So, for getting the same shape, the same dimensions, I will need less expanded polystyrene than extruded polystyrene, where each pearl is very close to the other. There is no empty space between the pearls. Okay, no space. Here, many space. It is like having. Let me take an example here. Let me take an example. Here I have a piece of on my right of extruded styrofoam, here expanded styrofoam, having the same exact shape. So 5 centimeters, as always, forgive me, but I'm used to metrics and not imperial, okay, by 9 millimeters in thickness, by 18 centimeters length. This is the exact same. They are superposable. So extruded, expanded. Let me do a simple test. Here I have a scale. Okay, let me switch on the scale. Unit. I can go with kilograms, I can go with grams, I can go with ounces. It doesn't matter. Okay, let me place it with grams. Let me have this little piece on top of here. 2 grams. 2 grams, between 2 and 3 grams. It is, I should have used a more precise scale, but unluckily for me, I just have a kitchen scale there. And it has rejoined 0 state. Let me place the same exact form and shape on top of it. Less than a gram. It doesn't move from 0 grams. This means that this is less dense, this is more dense, has more emptiness between each pearl, and you can see, if I approach, that you can see the different, maybe like that, you can see that you may perceive the little balls inside, but you can't perceive maybe the emptiness, but there is emptiness. But this piece here is perfectly perfectly flat. There is no pearls or balls or mini balls visible. Another example, yes, same thing. This is another type of extruded styrofoam, the yellow one, because we have many type of colors. Maybe not for the expanded styrofoam, because they comes generally white and black. Those ones comes in white, yellow, green, blue, pink. Okay. Once again, the extruded one, 2 grams, okay, 3 grams, and the same shape, 0. Once again, okay, I modified the shape. It seems like the physical properties and chemical properties doesn't change at all. But look at I will make, if possible, a test. A test. I don't know how to proceed, because I should have a camera placed like this. But let me try to apply an amount of force to this one. Okay? It will bend, and you have already heard a little crack. This one I cannot get, but I can push harder and harder. I still have not heard a crack. Okay, so physically this one is more solid, is more rigid, and can support more forces applied on it. This one is more soft. Let me do it. Okay, look at the shape when it will produce a crack, and you can also hear the crack. Look, cracked. And when you crack it, you can already see, you can now see. I should approach the camera with this one under it. You can see that the pearls are visible also, the expanded pearls. And if I place my finger, I can shred it into some mini balls. Those are different sized balls, expanded, and the original ones, those ones, were very little in comparison to those ones. Those ones are expanded and joined together and then cool down the temperature. So you obtain this. But this one, I will try to apply the same amount of force. It doesn't bend like the previous one, but I will have to force it more. But I assure you, I am applying much more force, and it hasn't still cracked, even if it has a little cut there. You can see there is a little cut, and it has still not cracked, guys. And it is not, now it has cracked, and the structure internally is different. It is more compact, more dense, as I already said. It is more dense. The same thing will happen with those two pieces of styrofoam. Okay. Why I made those two samples? Because obviously, if there is a chemical and physical difference, it means different cost, obviously. For the same shape, you get less material here, you get more material here. Okay? This one is compressible as the other one, obviously. And why this difference? This is similar to what you find. So the expanded styrofoam is similar to what you find with your packaging. This one is more complex because it is essentially used in construction, in real life building construction, and it has to be placed under heavy weight, maybe under some concrete to protect what it is below, maybe a cellar, maybe a parking, from humidity and from other things. It is heat insulation. Both are heat insulation, but this is more fragile. So on the market, you will have to call them insulation foam boards. Insulation foam boards, okay? Because they thermically insulate something from some other things. I will come to that. What do you have to choose? Obviously, it is always better to choose the cheaper one. The less you spend, the more it is best for your Christmas villages. But not always. Okay, guys? If you have to make some mountains, if you have to make some hills, if you have to make some levels, one on top of the other, you will choose expanded styrofoam because it is cheaper, and you can do a lot of things with expanded styrofoam, and you will choose only the extruded one if you want to build something by yourself. I'm talking about bridges, I'm talking about buildings, I'm talking about everything that is not a platform, a level, a mountain, okay? You choose this one because at the scale you need to work to match Lemax or Limax buildings or Department 56 buildings. It means using maximum 9mm thick walls, and 9mm thick walls are too fragile if you use them or if you cut them through an expanded styrofoam board, like in this case. Your building, you risk to place it in somewhere or push it somehow wrongly, and you will break down all your building. It isn't fitted for building some buildings, for constructing by yourself some buildings or some props, some bridges, etc., some stairs, some squares for your villages, okay? But it is top ideal for making platforms, for making levels, for protecting your tables from what you have to place on top of it or work on top of it. I always used expanded styrofoam during the years for my Christmas village, always. And I also always used extruded styrofoam for my buildings. Just remember the scriptorium I made during many weeks for my 2022 Christmas village, okay? And other buildings I made with this. All my stairs I made with this one. The big plaza I made for my 2024 Christmas village was made from extruded styrofoam, from the yellow paints of extruded styrofoam, okay, and so on. So if your goal is to just simply make levels and mountains, hills, and then shape them, absolutely use only expanded styrofoam, the ones making small pearls when shredded. Only use those ones for your buildings, etc. Okay, I will not repeat myself once again, okay? Very interesting, but how can I use to shape, to cut into those foam boards? Especially because you don't buy them by these dimensions here. They generally comes in big foam boards, and if you and if you watch every starting point of each of my season, you see how big they are. They are generally 50 centimeters by 1 meters or maybe more, and in different 8, okay, starting from 1 centimeters up to 12 centimeters and more sometimes for the expanded styrofoam. Getting foam boards less than 1 centimeters mean them you buy them, you break them before getting them home, okay? It is useless to have. But these styrofoam here, the extruded styrofoam, you can cut even just 2-3 millimeters and it is still very sturdy, okay, very stiff, okay. So once again, big boards to be cutted. What can I use to cut them? Let me make an example here. I have those 9 millimeters here and this one. I can obviously, those one, I bought them already at 9 millimeters thick. Those one were a little more, maybe this one was 3 or 4 centimeters. This one is a piece derived from an 8 centimeters thick. And you must cut them, avoiding that curves, but you need to cut them because I know maybe it is good for a hill, for a mountain to get some curvy lines, but not for buildings. You need to cut them precisely right, okay? So, what you should do, or you can do. Let me start with this one, the extruded part, 9 millimeters thick extruded styrofoam. You just need to measure what you want to cut here, 2 centimeters from each side, and you simply need to use a metal ruler, and then a very, very, very dangerous knife or cutter or blade, and you simply push one or more time to get the piece cutted and you get a flat surface. Let me try to do the same thing with this one that has the same thickness, 9 millimeters, and let me mark 2 centimeters from one side and 2 centimeters from the other side. I use the same blade, that is a brand new blade, and I will try to cut it like this one. At this thickness you can achieve almost the same, but you can already see that some holes are already present there. But at a thicker, with a thicker shape, let me take this one, let me do the same thing, 2 centimeters from each side, and let me try to do it. The same thing. okay, you start to have some fragmented borders, because when you cut, this is not as stiff as this one. This one has the same thickness, so once again 2 centimeters from each side, okay, 2 centimeters here and there, and then let me cut this one too, and hopefully you will get this one. I need more passage to get the blade through because it is more thick, obviously, but you get a perfect flat surface even at this stage here. Think if I cut this one, but if I choose this big piece here and I try to cut through it, a mess, guys. Let me show you. And the blade is longer than the depth, okay? Let me have it longer. Okay, it's not even cut. Okay, so you see that it's not flat. You have some pearls that are here. This is starting to get shredded. Okay, not the same result. Tools you can use up until, let's say, this depth here. So the depth of normal standard blades, 6-7 centimeter, you can go with a blade, a shape, or an X-Acto knife. But the X-Acto knife can cut through 9 millimeters. It cannot cut through here. Too difficult to achieve. So blades for extruded styrofoams up until 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters in thickness. Absolutely not a blade to be used with expanded styrofoam over 1 centimeters of thickness. Normal. This is how they are made. Cheaper one, but there are some minus points. Okay. What then use to get from 8 centimeters to 2 centimeters here to 2 centimeters? You will have to tool them with some hot wire. Hot wire. What is a hot wire tool? A hot wire tool is like this one, that through an adapter you connect it to the wall plug, and then this metal very thin metallic wire gets hotter and hotter through the passage, with the passage of electricity, and it is very hot. You burn up, not right now, no, sorry guys, but when it gets hotter and hotter, you can cut through styrofoam like it was butter, melted butter, because this is plastic and not heat resistant plastic, so you cut them. This is one of the tools I use, but it is good for shaping something that is not precisely squared. Instead, and maybe you have seen online me using it or other people using not wire cutting table. Let me make some space here, and those are used. I just hope not to break anything. Sorry guys, I passed it in front of the camera. It is not a good seeing. I know sometimes my ugly face getting in front of the camera. Blah, blah. It is a little heavy, but this is my cutting table. You have seen me doing it. It has 90 degrees. Let me enlarge a little more. So it is simply a flat pad. It is some wood. Then you have some sort of 90 degrees bracket, and then here you have a wire, a metallic wire, with the same principle of the passage of the electricity. It gets hotter, and then if you place it under it and you cut, you achieve the same result. You have seen me, but okay. Let me switch this on. Okay, guys, let me get a little closer like this. Okay, let me switch this on. Okay, now I will switch it on through a foot switch, and then I will push this towards. Now it's not like having a precise horizontal cut, because I will have to use this one and place it the other way. Let me do it once again. I place it at let's say at 2 centimeters each side. Okay, like this. I block it at 2 centimeters. I'm not working in the correct position, but anyway, I will try to do my best. Like that, and then pushing it through the other way. You get this at 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters piece. And as you can see, it is 2 centimeters, and it is right, perfectly right. Same thing. This time, let me use this one. If I push this through the hot wire, no problem at all cutting through it, because the heat will melt, and you get perfectly flat, smooth surfaces. Okay, flat, smooth surfaces. It is the same thing, even at a thickness, even at an higher thickness like this one. This is 12 centimeter. Imagine having a big piece of foam of a big normal, sorry for the noise, a standard foam board that is 12 centimeters thick, okay, and then 1 meter in length and 50 centimeters in width. And you place it through the hot wire, and you don't have any problems at all cutting through it with some flat surfaces. Okay, so hot wire for cutting big pieces of styrofoam. Okay, so sorry, I haven't shown you the equivalent, but I can show you the equivalent right now. Just it takes a little more to get hotter. Let me try this, and this is useful for shaping your pieces in some way that you can imagine having there. Okay, and so this, then you can reshape, recut everything, and those hot wires are good. If I try to do, let me do this in order not to be, if I try to shape this, let's take the other one with a blade, you get first thing a mess. Look at the mess I'm getting, and not exactly the same result, because I will not get the same result, the same smooth result, because this is, guys, this is smooth. I can see that this is smooth. So let me switch this off once again. Okay, so tools, everything, tools. These, I made this in 2021, and you may find, and this is version number 2 of my cutting table, because during 2020 season I had my first cutting table made, made my first cutting. This is the version number 2, larger, smoother, bigger, and it is very functional. You can build yourself, and you have on this channel a tutorial, a 3-part tutorial on how to build this with all the materials, with all the tools, and with all the pieces you need to buy to make it. Or you will find online some cutting tables made express. The common one is the Proxon hot wire cutting table. So Proxon, Proxon, Proxon cutting table. It is the same principle. Maybe you can't achieve this thickness because this can cut through an height of 25 centimeters. This table here is larger and deeper than a Proxon, and you can also align these with 15 degrees, so you can cut angles of 15, 30, 45, these two, and the Proxon too. But mine can cut way thicker pieces of styrofoam, because I generally used to start with giant styrofoam boards, very large styrofoam panels, and then I cut them to achieve what I want. Okay, guys, let me just move away and let's talk something minutes before closing this tutorial, because this is a general tutorial. I explained you so much things, I think, that are good for, I wouldn't love, I don't love to use this term, but there is plenty of newbies in every aspect of our society. So if you are new, I use it maybe some useful terms for you. Okay, I started working with Christmas villages with my mother a long time ago. Maybe I was a teenager, younger than a teenager. Now, guys, I'm 55, so it is more than 40 years that I work in Christmas villages. I work with many things, okay? So, but I work solo only from only from 2019, because I had the chance to do my last Christmas village with my mother in 2018, the big traditional family Christmas village, huge, 6 months of work with 20 and more family members working on it. It was like 50 feet by 50 feet, or even more than that. I can't remember precisely, but it was huge. Hundreds of buildings, hundreds of props to build, etc. So until 2019, I never worked solo. But then I started working solo. So many years of experience during many things tried during the years. So let me call myself not a newbie in this domain, and I hope what you have seen me shredding and doing here is useful for the ones that are just starting. And I repeat, an amazing, a fantastic, an incredible adventure in the realm of Christmas villages. And I assure you that if this comes through passion, you will become addicted in a good way. Let me show you something more. I forgot one thing, guys. Styrene pearls. That is why you call it styrofoam, okay? Styrene, okay? Styrofoam boards or panels, okay? From styrene, from oil. So not green material. Sorry guys. Very useful, yes, but where can I buy some styrofoam? On marketplaces? eBay? Yes, you can. Amazon? Yes, you can. Can I find styrofoam boards or panels the dimension I want? No, you don't. You can't. First, on each marketplace, the majority of goods that are sold are intended to be shipped and to be shipped as conveniently as possible. So small things in some minivans to be fast delivered everywhere. In each country, everyone has the same method of working. eBay Europe, eBay US, eBay Australia, eBay Brazil. Same thing with Amazon. The smallest packages possible to fill inside some vans to be delivered at many people's with the small amounts of vans. So you can imagine that big styrofoam panels or styrofoam boards cannot be sold or cannot be found on such marketplaces. We are talking about a material that it is used in construction sites, home construction, warehouse construction, and it is an insulation material to insulate from heat in order to have to spend less in heating or cooling down the houses. Okay? It is very common in Europe, as Europe tends to have an old fashion, an old way to build buildings, okay? And so it is very commonly used to insulate, thermically insulate giant condos, 10, 12, 20 floors, buildings or small houses. In US, you have different type of material. You use much more wood for construction, but you can have also insulation. And you have seen white, pure insulation panels sold everywhere in Europe. Maybe in US you got them pink, green, blue with a layer from one of the side, a layer of carton or paper or aluminum foil to make it more heat resistant, okay? But you will obviously need to strip off that part when you use them. Where to buy them? Certainly you cannot buy them online and get delivered. It doesn't work like that. You need, obviously, want to spend a minimum. You have to go yourself with your car, with your van, to some physical stores, okay? Comparing the price of marketplaces is very elevated because they have difficulties to be stored properly in giant warehouses. There is the problem of shipping. The larger the package and the higher the shipping cost. So very, very expensive on marketplace. But if you take your car, your van, and go to some physical stores, let me do some examples. In Europe, you have Leroy Merlin, you can have Technomat, Bricomart, Brico Center, Akai or Aki in Europe, Weldon, Bricoman, all those physical stores existing all over Europe, excluded UK, obviously they are mainly on Europe mainland, especially after the Brexit. You will find those ones in every cities. They are big groups, big multinational groups, so you will find them. You have to get there, and those are specialized in constructions, in renovation, in house renovations, and you will certainly find big pieces, big foam panels at a very low cost. In Europe, generally, an expanded styrofoam panel of 50 centimeters by 1 meter by 10 centimeters in thickness is no more than 6 euros, so 6 USD, okay, USD. In USA, in US, you have Home Depot, Lowe's, okay. Sorry, I cannot show you those sites because, yes, I can show you the online sites of those European sites, but Home Depot, without a VPN, you cannot access. Come on. Even so, you cannot access from the Europe. Strange way of getting more and more customers. Only US customers can look into their sites. Come on, it's not like that. UK, you have B&Q, you have Vickers or Vicky's, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, or Homebase. And Australia, you have especially Bunnings, okay? All those physical stores, and I hope you heard of some of them wherever you are there for you. Get there, maybe get as much as foam panels or foam boards as possible, then cut them. With one trip, you can get all you need for your annual Christmas village. I know that in 2025 we are used to buy on marketplaces, okay? There are plenty of marketplaces nowadays, but I only talk about eBay and Amazon because they are the most commonly known all over the world. But even Leroy Merlin in Europe has a marketplace and you can buy those ones, but you need to pay for the shipment, and it is very high. The shipment cost is very high. So you can use their online shops to see if they have at your disposal those boards, then go there by yourself with your car. And be advised that the expanded styrofoam can get your car very messy because during the trip it can lose some of the purse, the mini purse. So Europe there, USA, UK, Australia, sorry for the rest of the world, but those are the most common I know. I certainly not know nothing about South America, but if on the comments, maybe if you are from a country that is not listed there, and if you know those equivalent in your country, please add them into the comments, because it may be useful to other newcomers to this world, to this villaging world, and it can be useful. Okay, I don't know anything about South America, about East, Middle East, etc. If you want, if you can, please add the stores you know under this video in the comments. I think I have made this video middle, this tutorial middle, not as short as I would have intended to do it. But come on, it's not 2 hours long, such as my traditional full season tutorial. Thank you guys for your attention, and see you soon, in a month and a half, as I said, for the new 2025 full season. Bye guys.